The evening begins in chilling silence. Not the comfortable kind shared by a loving couple, but the kind that strangles. A dining table set for two rests between Jack and Aubrey, but it feels more like a battlefield. Candlelight flickers, trying to create warmth but instead illuminating the emptiness in their eyes. Jack's fingers tremble against his knee beneath the table, while Aubrey sits back comfortably, swirling her wine. She smirks, refusing to lower her gaze as she casually admits to cheating, as if she's commenting on the weather. "Yes, I cheated." "And what?" she says without hesitation, sipping her drink like she's proud of it. She tells him she won't stop because she doesn't want to, and then delivers the blow. "You're not leaving. You're too soft to survive without me." Jack's breath catches in his throat, and the world stops for him in that moment. The confession doesn't break Jack. Her words do. Aubrey leans forward, almost amused by his pain, and begins dismantling him piece by piece. She mocks the way he stayed loyal, the way he tried to make her happy, calling his tenderness pathetic. She brags about the co-workers she's seeing, how he makes her feel alive, how he treats her better than a boring man like you ever could. Every sentence is purposeful, sharp, humiliating. She laughs and calls him weak, predictable, dependent, a man who would never survive outside her shadow. Her eyes shimmer with triumph as she tells him he has nothing of his own. The house in her name, the finances she controls, the social circle she built. "Even if you leave," she smirks, "no one will believe you. They'll say I upgraded." Jack tries to swallow the pain with dignity, but humiliation burns through him. Aubrey thinks she has won, that she has shattered him beyond repair. She relaxes in her chair, smiling proudly like a queen who conquered her kingdom. She expects Jack to beg, to collapse, to cling to her, but something inside him shifts, quietly, subtly, dangerously. His trembling hands stop. His breathing slows. The humiliation turns into something darker, resolve. He finally lifts his eyes and looks at her, not with pain anymore, but with a calm that is unfamiliar to both of them. Aubrey laughs again, calling him pathetic one last time, but the laughter fades when she sees a change in his expression. He doesn't shout or argue. He simply says, almost whispering, "You think I won't leave because I'm soft, but you'll soon see what a soft man can do." The temperature in the room drops. For the first time, Aubrey looks unsure. Jack Morgan grew up in a world where silence was survival. His father walked out when he was 7, leaving him and his mother in a small apartment they could barely afford. His mother worked double shifts and always reminded him, "Good boys keep peace. Good boys don't start fights." Jack learned early that anger brought consequences, while submission brought temporary harmony. He became the kind of person who swallowed hurt rather than confronted it. Aubrey, on the other hand, came from privilege, a wealthy family, the best schools, and an environment that rewarded competition more than affection. She believed success meant control, admiration, and being the best in every room. When they met, Aubrey admired Jack's calm reliability, while Jack fell in love with the confidence he had never possessed. Neither realized it was not compatibility. It was imbalance waiting to explode as the relationship moved into marriage. The strengths that once attracted them became the weapons that defined their dynamic. Aubrey's confidence turned controlling. Jack's gentleness turned submissive. She took over their finances early. "I'm better with money," she said, and Jack didn't resist because he didn't want to create conflict. At social gatherings, she demeaned him subtly, laughing at his softness, while others assumed it was playful teasing. Slowly, his friends stopped calling, not because they didn't care, but because Aubrey's presence made Jack shrink into silence. He slipped further into the background of his own life. The pain was quiet, unnoticed, and constant. The dream he once fought for, being a graphic novelist, vanished beneath bills, routines, and the fear of disappointing her. Aubrey married him because she could predict him, and predictability became her control. Years later, their home looks perfect from the outside. Expensive, polished, successful. But behind closed doors, Jack has become a ghost in his own marriage. Aubrey controls every financial decision, every schedule, every interaction. She walks with pride, fully convinced she owns him emotionally and that he will never leave because he has nowhere else to go. Jack begins sleeping on the couch after confession, and instead of remorse, Aubrey treats it like victory. wearing expensive perfume when she goes out, laughing louder on phone calls with her co-workers, and leaving her heels by the door like trophies. Jack lies awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, realizing he has lost not just his marriage but himself, his art, his confidence, his voice. He feels empty, but inside that emptiness, something new begins forming. Resolve. The barbecue party is supposed to be a casual, friendly evening. String lights, laughter, sizzling food, people chatting in small circles. But Jack stands alone near the grill, holding a drink he hasn't touched. Aubrey, already drunk, is the center of attention as usual, loud, dramatic, craving admiration. Someone jokingly asks when Jack will take charge in life, and instead of offending him, Aubrey bursts into laughter. She tells the group, "Jack, please." He's too soft to satisfy any woman. The crowd laughs along, assuming it harmless humor, not realizing Jack has been enduring this cruelty for years. His face goes pale, his body goes still. The sound around him fades like static. He doesn't confront. He just stands frozen as people laugh at his masculinity, his worth, his whole existence. It's not embarrassment. It's numbness, the kind that comes before change. That night, when they return home, Jack hopes, irrationally, that Aubrey will apologize or at least regret what she did. Instead, she kicks off her heels, pours another drink, and acts as if she won a competition. She tells him he should loosen up if he doesn't want to be the joke of every room. When he remains silent, she grows sharper, her voice rises with authority instead of drunkenness. "Don't get any ideas. You're never leaving me," she says, walking right up to him, pointing a finger into his chest. "I do whatever I want because you won't go anywhere. You're nothing without me." She admits the affair will continue because he can't stop her. Jack doesn't shout, doesn't cry in front of her, but something inside him finally snaps, not outwardly, but inward, the last layer of tolerance peeling away forever. Hours later, the house is silent. Aubrey sleeps peacefully upstairs, confident she owns him completely. But Jack sits on the couch, eyes dry, staring into nothing. The tears already came, silently, and with them came clarity. He realizes that begging, shouting, or suffering will change nothing. If he leaves impulsively, she will destroy him socially, financially, legally. If he stays, so for the first time in years, he thinks, not emotionally, but strategically. He gets up quietly, opens his laptop, and begins gathering evidence. Hidden screenshots of messages, photos of bruises from moments she grabbed him too hard, bank statements showing how she drains accounts, audio recordings of verbal abuse. His hands don't shake anymore. He has one goal now, not revenge, not victory, escape with dignity and proof. He doesn't confront. He prepares, I end the days that follow. Jack adopts a new form of survival, silence with intention. He avoids provoking Aubrey, but no longer absorbs her words like wounds. He lets them pass through him while his mind works quietly. Aubrey interprets his silence as defeat, growing more arrogant, believing she has finally broken him into complete dependence. That confidence blinds her to the subtle shifts in Jack's behavior. While she flaunts her superiority, he begins reconnecting with people he once lost. His childhood best friend Ethan, the one Aubrey pushed away. His old art professor, Ms. Hayes, who always believed he had talent. And most importantly, a free legal counseling group specializing in emotional abuse victims. Jack never explains the situation. He listens, learns, gathers knowledge. Every contact is a seed planted for the life he plans to reclaim. Aubrey sees nothing, because she isn't looking that Aubrey's cruelty escalates as her confidence grows. She schedules meetings with lawyers to ensure the house will be legally in her name, convinced Jack won't dare protest. She brags about her lover openly, and one evening she makes a theatrical show call him on speaker while Jack is in the room, laughing, flirting, telling the man how Jack just watches like a good obedient husband. The goal is clear, to remind him he belongs beneath her. But Jack doesn't react, not anger, not pain, not defeat. His calmness unnerves her more than any outburst could. A narcissist can smell power slipping away before they understand how. She catches him smiling once very faintly, and for a moment, something shifts in her eyes. Fear? Suspicion? but she quickly shakes it off, convincing herself she is imagining it. Meanwhile, Jack's silence tightens a psychological noose around her ego. One night, Aubrey pushes a boundary from cruelty to something darker. With casual confidence, she tells Jack she's planning to get pregnant, not with him, but with her lover, and that Jack will raise the baby like a good little weak man because you're too soft to say no. She watches his face, waiting for him to crumble the way he always has. But this time, nothing breaks. He simply nods, walks away, and leaves her in the kitchen rehearsing what she thinks is victory. Upstairs, behind the closed bedroom door, Jack pulls out a suitcase and begins to pack, not shaking, not crying, but smiling for the first time in years. Every shirt folded, every document packed, every quiet movement is freedom in progress. Aubrey has no idea that this moment, the one she thought proved her dominance, is the moment she loses him forever. Morning sunlight creeps through the bedroom curtains, gently warming the side of the bed where Jack used to sleep. Aubrey wakes lazily, stretching with the smug satisfaction of someone who believes she owns the world, until she reaches across the blanket and feels nothing. The space beside her is cold. She sits up instantly, confused, scanning the room. Jack's clothes are gone. The closet door stands open but mostly empty. On his pillow sits his wedding ring, placed deliberately, not abandoned. Beside it rests a sealed envelope with her name on it in neat handwriting. Aubrey smirks, rolling her eyes, convinced it's a desperate love letter or an apology for leaving the couch. She breaks the seal with theatrical amusement, expecting validation of her power, and instead finds devastation. The silence of the room becomes heavier than thunder. Inside the envelope is not love, it is truth. Divorce papers, evidence of her affair, printed screenshots, timestamps, hotel receipts, financial documentation, revealing thousands she siphoned from his accounts into her personal investments, photos of bruises, audio recordings transcribed line by line, every insult, every threat, every humiliation, a business card from a legal counselor for abuse victims. Aubrey flips through the pages rapidly, her breath becoming shaky, her hands trembling, her sense of superiority crumbling page by page. And at the very back, on a single sheet of paper in Jack's handwriting, I wasn't too soft to leave. I was too strong to stay. He didn't run away. He rose. And her most terrifying fear becomes real. He left without permission, without begging, without her control. She screams, not from sadness, but from a violent collapse of her dominance. Aubrey shifts instantly from arrogance to panic. She calls Jack repeatedly, blocked. She drives to his lawyer's office, arguing, threatening, demanding access, and is told she is not permitted to speak to him directly. Next blow. The house she believes she owned is legally 50% his because he invested his inheritance. Receipts included among the documents. She cannot evict him. She cannot take the home. The narrative she built, powerful wife, helpless husband, collapses publicly. Her lover hears about the evidence and the legal risk, and instantly cuts her off, terrified of being named in the divorce file. Friends stop responding. Colleagues give her distance. Whispers begin. Her perfectly polished image, confident, superior, untouchable, crumbles overnight. For the first time in her life, Aubrey has no power because she no longer has Jack to dominate. At Jack's new life doesn't begin with celebration. It begins with stillness. He rents a small apartment, nothing luxurious, just enough for peace. No marble counters, no curated image, no performance, just space to breathe. His first nights are filled with silence, but unlike before, silence feels safe. He begins therapy, speaking truths he has swallowed for years, learning the difference between softness and weakness. He runs in the mornings, cooks simple meals, and learns to tolerate solitude until solitude becomes comfort. The sketchbook he abandoned years ago finally returns to his desk. At first, he draws slowly, cautiously, like someone picking up a language they once knew. Then the pages fill faster, raw pain breakthroughs, stories of survival and rediscovery. Ms. Hayes agrees to mentor him again, not because she pities him, but because she always believed he was meant for more. Jack's recovery is not explosive. It is consistent. He rebuilds friendships slowly, not out of desperation but reciprocity. Coffee visits, long walks. Game nights he once avoided to please Aubrey. Now he chooses them for himself. He keeps running, gaining strength he never felt before.